Hey everyone, welcome to Otaku Talk. It's me, your boy, your host, OD, and we have an amazing chapter of One Piece today. We'll be reviewing and analyzing chapter 1038 of One Piece. And Jesus, man, Oda really just jam packed this chapter full of action. We got a little bit of just different characters going on. There's so much going on during this Fire Fest, so many fights going on, and Oda was like, bam, 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 bam. And I was just like, wow, this is super fire. I can't wait to get into this review. If this is your first time on this channel, do your boy a solid. Please like, share, and subscribe. Just takes a click, would mean the absolute world to me. During this review, I'm going to have some clips from the manga. I am following fair use. I'm not, going to be adding whole pages and whatnot. So please, that's the disclaimer. However, please support Shonen Jump. Please pay for a subscription. It's like $2 for Viz to check it out. Anyway, without much further ado, let's get into this review. All right, everyone. Chapter 1038 of One Piece. Kid and Law versus Big Mom. I am excited for literally every part of this chapter I get to talk about. So first off, let's start off with the cover stories because I love cover stories, and this cover story is freaking insane. So last chapter we had, a cover story with Raiju and Judge, right? And lets out a heavy sigh. Now, I was wondering, all right, why did he leave out a heavy sigh? Did they lose a bunch of troops? I'm not sure if I said this in my last review, but I might have speculated that maybe one of the siblings didn't make it, got injured, or something of that nature. I really hope I did because I would feel super cool about myself. But we see in this cover story that Yanji and Niji have been captured. So that's insane. They're attached to that one devil fruit user that can like keep things preserved in books for Big Mom's collection. So that's freaking insane. I'm not sure if Judge and Raiju are back, at the Germa 66 mansion, or if they're, they've just retreated for now and they're still on their little snail ships or wherever they are. But I'm wondering what ramifications this is going to have. Are we going to rescue them within the plot, or is this going to stay relegated to the cover story? Also, like I said, it's just Niji and Yanji. So where is I forget the other one, but there's a third brother unaccounted for. So where is he right now? Is he potentially dead? Is he potentially going to mount a rescue mission? Is he injured somewhere? Because right now he is the only member that is unaccounted for. So I'm super curious how they're going to get out of this, especially if Big Mom is defeated here, or like I hope later on in Elbaf. However, after this chapter, that doesn't really seem to be like a plausible case anymore. It really seems like she's going to be taken down here. Something I noticed in this cover story is that Pudding is to the right. Pudding, has actual feelings for Sanji. She fell in love with him. She knows that these are his siblings. Now, she knows that he doesn't quite get along with his family. However, I don't think it would be in her for her to just kind of allow, this to occur, right? So, I think she's going to try to rescue them. She's going to try to mount an escape. Maybe she can get Katakuri to help her out with that, some muscle behind it. Maybe this is where, the Big Mom Pirate schism, maybe, she just keeps it simple and just kind of wipes everyone's memory, right? Like, we never had Niji and Yanji. So great cover story to start off a phenomenal chapter. So we start off the chapter and it starts off with the homie Raizo still holding that jutsu on Fukurokujo. If you don't remember, he was using a jutsu that bound Fukurokujo to place, kind of similar to what Shikamaru does with his shadow paralysis jutsu, right? Now, here's the crazy part. Earlier, when we first saw this, Raizo was already on fire. Fukurokujo wasn't on fire yet. And Fukurokujo told him, hey man, like, you're going to be burning long before the fire gets to me. So we can kind of assume this man has been burning in fucking hell this entire time, just being tortured. And not gonna lie, I think it's cool as hell. I love the parallel between, what Raizo is doing right now and, what Odin went through, how Odin had to boil in oil. And if you had told me I would ever have a situation where I'm debating, comparing whether I would rather be burned alive or boiled alive in oil, which I would prefer, I would have told you you're crazy. Why would you make me think about this? But literally, I'm trying to think about like which is worse right now, and I honestly could not tell you. At the end of the day, I don't want either. So I wonder if Raizo is going to be able to hold this up. I honestly don't think so. I honestly just think that this is going to come a certain point where he's going to get close, but I think it's just going to get to a point where the pain is going to be way too much. The dehydration from the burns is going to be too much, and he's going to pass out, and maybe just give Furokujo just enough time to escape or something. Maybe get to Orochi. Who knows? But then maybe someone can show up to help Raizo out so he doesn't quite die. So yeah, looking forward to seeing how that goes. But at this point in time, Raizo is an absolute G. Um, next scene we see, I believe, is the homie Jinbei, and he's using a pillar to hold up a collapsing rooftop, and that's insane because not only is he holding up that rooftop. I mean, I'm aware that all the pillars aren't destroyed probably, so he's not holding it up all himself. But the fact that he's holding up an entire floor, if not multiple floors, is kind of crazy to me. And just Jinbei just casually displaying his strength is super nutty. Love my boy Jinbei. Also, you have to think about it like this. He's a fishman, right? And fishmen aren't as strong, aren't as powerful as they are underwater. But on top of that, in this environment where there's fire, where the heat is probably getting rid of a lot of the moisture, he's probably weaker than he normally is. So I'm giving him mad props right now. Luffy really knows how to pick him. Like, his crew is gang as hell, and I'm fucking with it heavily. So he's wondering how the fire spread so much. I think that I'm pretty obvious. Besides, the fires that have been going on, the Kazembo is what sped up all of this, right? So we move on. Next series of panels, and it's Frankie looking for Zoro. We also see Chopper. Chopper has reverted from baby Gramps Chopper to regular Chopper, and we're getting a little bit, I don't want to say much exposition. We're pretty much being told what we already knew, and that was the fact that literally before Zoro took the miracle drug, the remedy, he couldn't move. Like, he was bandaged up, all his bones were broken, he could not move. He took the remedy drug and he was able to move, he was able to fight. However, we were told that it's going to do, I don't know, 10, 100 times. We're just a bunch more times more damage than what he had sustained prior to receiving the remedy. So I'm very curious what's going to happen. I would really, really like there to be some stakes here. I would really like it for possibly for it to carry over to maybe if we do go to Elbaf, Zoro is at a place where like he literally cannot move, he cannot recover, that kind of situation. I really want there to be ramifications, unlike, that time where like Sanji broke his shin and that had like no relevance on the plot. I would really like something to come of this. So anyway, speaking of Zoro, we actually get to see Zoro, and he is in front of the Grim Reaper, and he is just telling the Grim Reaper, stay away from me. Also, can I just say I'm loving the irony, like just the irony of the fact that like he's talking all this hot shit about I'm gonna be the king of hell, blah 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 blah, and like this just feels like that Jordan meme, like where like the Grim Reaper shows up, or like Hades himself shows up and is like, so you were talking all that hot shit, right? I took that personally. So this could be any manner of things, honestly. He could be in such brutal, excruciating pain right now that he is just, imagining things. He is just, what's the word I'm looking for? He's hallucinating. He could be in such pain that he's dissociating, hallucinating, and he sees this Grim Reaper. It could be representative of the fact that, that he is this close to death. So maybe this is actually the Grim Reaper he's seeing. Now, this is One Piece. Zoro is like the right hand man of the Pirate King. We know for a fact he is not going to die. So I don't think for a second like this is legitimate. And also, if this was the Grim Reaper and his job was to lead him to, the river Styx, to the afterlife, this is Zoro we're talking about. So even if his soul was destined to go there, my man's gonna get lost, fuck around, end up back in his body. So it's no trouble at all. A really creative thing that I would think would be cool is if it's the spirit of Enma. We do know that inanimate objects do, hold souls and stuff like that. So it would be really cool if this was like a Bleach Zanpakuto moment where like he's having a conversation with the spirit, the soul of Enma. That would be super cool. But for some reason, and I don't really have a reason to think it's Killer, but I think it's Killer. Just because back when he was the what's it called, the Manslayer. I forget what his name was as the Manslayer. He did have that scythe and stuff like that. So maybe Killer after his fight with, and I really wish I remembered all the map well, so I could know if it made sense that Killer could get to where Zoro is so quickly. Honestly, I forget where Zoro is. Like, didn't he like fall out of the cat? Like, anyway, I digress. If it was Killer setting up, and maybe like Zoro is reimagining his little like killer blades or whatever as sights and stuff because he saw him as Komazo, the manslayer or whatever. Maybe it's that. I have no clue. I was reading some comments. Some people think it'd be funny if it was like Brook or whatever. Maybe, possibly. So yeah, I'm kind of torn between, it's a hallucination, it's the manifestation of Enma, or it's gonna be Killer. And but one thing I am positive and sure about is Zoro definitely is not dying. If Zoro were to die here, that would be the biggest plot twist in all of plot twists in the history of manga in general. I'm just being real with you.
Also, something I just wanted to bring up really, really quickly is it's a common anime trope that the closer someone is to death, like once they suffer a near-death experience, they grow in strength exponentially. And I think this would be a very, very cool moment in time to implement that for Zoro. So I think it would be very cool to see once he does recover, him being way stronger than before, him maybe having a way stronger grasp of Conqueror's Haki, and maybe possibly, finally unlocking Ashura.
Now, the next series of panels, I'm not gonna lie to you, kind of disappointed me. It's the homie Izo, gunslinger, commander of the, what was it, 16th division of the Whitebeard Pirates. And Jesus, just the sheer fact that he had that many divisions is just, Whitebeard is goated. Like, let's just keep it real. Whitebeard is goated. And I just think it's a little bit nerve wracking that a bunch of fodder did that much damage to him. Now, he doesn't have Conqueror's Haki. He can't just knock people out, but I can't imagine like Marco is what, the first division. So I'm sure as the divisions, go up in rank or whatever, like first, second, I'm sure the first, second, and third division commanders are stronger than, the 10th, 11th, 12th. And so if Izo is the 16th, I feel like that's way too many, but I think it's the 16th. If Izo is in fact the 16th commander, it does stand to reason that he's not going to be as strong as the rest. But still, simply being a commander at all of a Yonko, I think it is kind of crazy for him to be as hurt, as damaged as he is from fodder. Now, Oda slash he tries to play it off like, hey man, at the end of the day, they're still, part of the Beast Pirates. Fuck that bullshit. No, I'm not here for that. Like, come on. Like, come on. Like, if you were even people that aren't like, I don't see Brook, for example, being harmed by them. I don't see Robin being harmed. I don't see. I could see Usopp's a little complicated. Usopp could, but like, I don't know. I think he might take some licks here and there, but like, it disappointed me. So I'm incredibly skeptical now that CP0 has shown up. I think it's kind of cool that they were like, hey man, technically we're not supposed to like ignore you, but we have bigger fish to fry. We're looking for Nico Robin. We're supposed to go after the Straw Hats. So today's your lucky day. We're not trying to fight you. I think they're bluffing a little bit because I don't think that they're necessarily worried about losing to Izo, but the time it would take to fight Izo would, add to, the whole castle burning around them, as well as them losing sight, losing track of Robin. So right now their mission is get Robin. We've seen what happens when, we've seen what happens to Cypherpole agents when they fail. They have a clear zero tolerance policy when it comes to failure, except for apparently Rob Lucci and, the giraffe dude, Kaku. But yeah, so they're obviously trying to do it. And I'm just going to be real with you. I do not see in any way, shape, or form Izo winning this fight. Simply because the tall one took out the number relatively easily. Now, numbers aren't that terrifying. We saw that, the likes of, strong characters in the series can take out the numbers pretty easily. So that's somewhat impressive. It just shows that he ain't no bitch, that like he can handle something like that. But the other one, the one that seems to be kind of the leader of the faction that's here, he was able to take out X Drake. Now, he didn't take out X Drake as easily as it looked like the tall one took out the number, but he was able to take out X Drake with minimal damage, and to the fact that he's still walking about ready to engage in combat with someone else. I don't even know if Izo is going to actually have to fight both of them. Maybe one of them is going to be like, nah, don't worry about it. I'll stay. I'll fight him. You go on and find Nico Robin. If that's the situation, I definitely like Izo's odds a lot better. But if it's a 1v2 while he's already injured, because we saw he's leaking. He's leaking from like his midsection. He's already injured. And like I said, if fodder gave him issues, the top brass of the CP0 definitely are gonna have their way with him. So that's my prediction. I could easily be wrong. I could look like a fool, but things aren't looking so hot for Izo. All right, next up, Yamato finally arrived at the armory. Unfortunately, the Kazembo is there right at the same time. Luckily, she uses that glacial attack that we saw her use against Kaido on the rooftop here, and then she uses another move. I forget the name of it, but it translates to something about like peace and blissfulness, and it's actually another term for a utopia in Yamato, which at the time Yamato was Japan. So once again, Oda doing his punny shit, his wordplay and stuff like that. Man, honestly, one of these days I really, really have to pick up Japanese, just because it kills me. It absolutely kills me how much of like One Piece I'm missing or not getting because I don't know the original Japanese. If you guys haven't already, check out this YouTuber named Artor, because literally the thing I love about Artor, even though like there's a bunch of YouTubers I like a lot more because of what they do, the thing that Artor does that is super unique to him is he will translate, the katakana, the hiragana, and like all the kanji and stuff like that, and will tell you all the various meanings that like these words mean, because Oda really, really takes his time and puts in a lot of work when it comes to like these attack names and all these other like these chapter titles, all these things he does, and he plays around, and so that like something that in English will just have one meaning or a simple phrase, if you know the Japanese, know that there's like 3 different ways to interpret it, which will just lead into giving you so many clues as to like what's going to happen next in the story or the significance of the name. So I really wish I was one for like languages, because I would really love to learn Japanese one day, take a trip there, all the whole nine. I'm a Japanophile, honestly. But where was I? Got off track. Yeah. So she's able to mildly stop the Kazembo. The Kazembo seems to have some form of autonomy. Honestly, it kind of feels like Kanjiro transferred over his consciousness to this thing, put his dying will in it. It seems to be evolving in some way. It grew an arm or something. So he's going to be fighting. So Yamato's going to be fighting that. Not going to lie, once again, the power scaling here is really weird, because Yamato kind of went toe for toe with Kaido on the roof. Now, I'm going to be real with you. Despite him saying that he was trying to kill her, I'm going to call cap and say that, hey, this is your daughter. At the end of the day, you weren't really going all out, but it's still impressive that she was able to injure him, that she was still able to go toe to toe with him. So to go from fighting Kaido to a manifestation of another character, not even the character itself, but a manifestation, a byproduct of a devil fruit. And it seems like she's struggling, bothers me tremendously. Hopefully Oda explains it a little bit more, elaborates on it a little more, expounds on it, but it's just like, Yamato, stop fucking playing, use that Conqueror's Haki, use that armament Haki you got, use that Ryu, fucking shut this baby down, right? So I don't know. We'll see what happens from here. But luckily, she was able to make it in time. I really think that she's going to be able to stop it. She might sustain some injuries here or there, but I think at the end of the day, she's going to be not very successful. There's no way to be very successful, but she's going to be successful in this. And, once again, I think, the threat of Onigashima falling isn't going to happen with, the presence of Zoe. Zoe could easily maybe catch it with, grab it with its trunk, settle it down, maybe, put it, maybe once everyone's evacuated, it'll hurl it at all the world government ships coming. There's a lot of options like now that Zoe is involved. Also, kind of speaking of Zoe and like a little bit of the last chapter, kind of disappointed that we didn't get any more kind of hints, tips, or clues as to the devil fruit they were talking about, last chapter. So we're still going to be waiting on that. Anyway, to wrap up this review, the best for last, Law and Kid versus Big Mom. We go over to this panel and Law and Kid are getting the ever living shit beat out of them by Big Mom. Big Mom is not playing any games anymore. She is taking them to town. And I'm actually very happy that she is. It's showing her brutality as a Yonko. And also, she has been a mockery for a large percentage of this arc. And, even some of her own arc. And it's been pissing me off to a degree because I was like, Oda, I'm with the shits. I like the jokes. I like, the gags. I'm with it. I like it, Oda. Don't get me wrong, but I'm like, this is a Yonko, man. Yonkos have been hyped. They're at the peak of the One Piece world, along with admirals. Like, how is she continuously getting played? So to see her, finally just like letting loose, cracking these dudes up, felt good. And we see Kid, we're seeing the whites of his eyes. We don't see that with Law. We just see the shadow of his eyes because of his hat. And, we have, their respective crews. I can't really tell which crew it was. I think the first one maybe was Kid's crew because I didn't recognize anyone. And they're just begging her, like, stop. They're gonna die if you keep going, which I think is a stupid way to like negotiate with her because she's like, that's kind of the point. Like, don't start none, won't be none, bitch. Like, so I thought that was kind of funny. And so, she's ready to go to the rooftop. She's done. She thinks they've been, defeated. And she's like, I haven't heard, Kaido's victory roar yet or victory call, or whatever she calls it yet. I hope that he's not playing around with that Luffy kid, playing around with his food. And so while she's, getting prepped to travel up there on Hera, all of a sudden, my boy Law uses his awakening again, uses Kroom. I'm going with Kroom. I know before I couldn't decide if it was K-Room or Kroom. I think the community as a whole is going with Kroom. Uses Kroom on his sword. And this time we see a little bit of a different effect with Kroom. He makes his sword way bigger than before and does the same attack, Anesthesia again. However, the effect is like 10 times what it was before. Before, it did affect Big Mom relatively well, did surprise her, but like last time it just kind of gave her like a shock and like she like coughed up, like she like burped out like smoke. Now it looks like, the jaunt, like the impact was like times 10. Like that jaunt really got her. It really affected her. That shock will shock or whatever it was. And then right after that, she doesn't even have a chance to recover. Kid apparently snaps out of being unconscious. He doesn't seem to use his awakening, uses his regular devil fruit powers, and creates a giant bull, Cornodia, I think, or Dio-Corna, which apparently is like, like the rock on symbol in rock. So that's kind of like what Oda got that from, which, by the way, I want to know what Oda does in his like personal life, where he just knows all these references, all these fairy tales. Like, I know he's a regular person, but for what I've been told is, mangaka have a really strict schedule where they're just writing, and he's been writing this series for like as long as I've been alive, almost like like 2 decades now, pretty much, right? And I'm just like, where does he still have time to like learn all these phrases and like to just enjoy life and then not only enjoy life, but put these experiences in his books. But anyway, moving on. So creates this giant bull and rocks the mess out of Big Mom. I'm gonna be real with you guys. I'm not hiding it, and like I'm sure this annoys my friend Mikey. I'm not a big fan of Kid. I don't give a fuck about Kid. Law's my man. I'm hyped for Law. He's one of my top 3 characters in the series, along with Luffy and Zoro. I know, ha ha ha, like how like cliche you like the main characters, but it's true. And then Enel's that dude. But like he hasn't impressed me. He's been boring. And I think the reason was because, he's supposed to be the rival of Luffy, right? And so we've seen what Luffy is capable of. And so if you're going to call yourself the rival, even though he's never done that, we did that as a community. I feel like Oda said something though, but like for some reason we have this idea that he is the rival of Luffy, right? And he is just not measured up in any way, shape, or form. His hockey has been mediocre. We haven't even seen like conquerors coming from him. And then what makes me really mad is he has this potentially incredibly powerful devil fruit, which like he should be the Magneto of the One Piece world with what he should be able to do. And then his awakening was mid to me. Like, what? You made Big Mama a magnet? That was what you did? That's your awakening? Do you see Laws? Like the fact that like his awakening sucks so much that it's like unlike Law who did Kroom and like really jacked up Big Mom, he just made a giant bull. He just constructs stuff and hits people with it. Like, so I don't know. Maybe Oda has more in store, more planned. I'm very patient when it comes to this because I trust Oda and I know that he can do a lot of like he rarely lets me down. So we'll see if like Kid will be redeemed. But for me right now, this isn't cutting it. But I still respect the fact that these two have done significant damage to Big Mom. I'm kind of also displacing it because Luffy is 1v1 in Kaido right now, but it's not fair. He didn't fight Kaido. There's the problem with One Piece, and when I say problem, I don't mean a real problem. Just kind of speaking out, thinking out loud. Is like there's a lot of I don't want to say discrepancies. There's just a lot of weirdness when it comes to the fights. Like if this didn't happen, if this person fought this person, if what's name hadn't had to fight a bunch of people. Oda likes to keep it very vague and like there's a lot of ambiguity in One Piece fights about like, well, did this person like even to this day, I don't really consider Luffy having won the Katakuri fight. Just because I feel like Katakuri just gave up and was like didn't have the will to fight, and he knew that it's in his best interest to like let Luffy succeed because it's going to fall down on him. But I will say, Kid had a phenomenal line. I love how he was like, they say the Yonko are invincible, but fuck that. And I was like, that's cool because at the end of the day, all of this is like hearsay. Everything we've learned in the One Piece, like since the beginning of One Piece, it has been hearsay, and it has been up to our crew and up to us to learn the truth for ourselves. And yeah, the Yonko are touted as these superhuman, invincible forces. And yeah, to a certain degree they are, because at the end of the day, they can do incredible things. Like, look at what Kaido is doing right now, lifting up an entire island while fighting Luffy, while shooting fire breaths, while doing XYZ, clashing the sky. Like, he is a monster in his own right. But at the end of the day, they're still human. Or, maybe an ancient giant or whatever. But they're still, humanoid beings. And yeah, they had to train to get to this point, but it's just indicative of the fact that if they can get there, other people can get there, right? And so I just love that line because, I try to like approach life like this, even though it's really hard, it can be really daunting. But he was like, even a mountain can be like, overcome by rain. I know that's not the exact line, but whatever, I digress. And so that was really tough.
Also, something else I wanted to mention that I didn't put in my initial review was the fact that they're a lot closer to beating Big Mom than I initially anticipated or thought. Because literally, Big Mom during the section says, "I'm beat." And I'm sure that the Viz is going to have a slightly alternate, translation for that. But long story short, she is saying that, she's tired. You know, she's struggling. She says, I need to end this quick. So yeah, she is on her last legs. Her HP bar is low. So like they can definitely pull this off.
Anyway, I'm gonna leave the review here. You see the smile. This is a genuine smile. Like this was a hype chapter. It was full of. It was just jam packed. Where like I can't even focus. Like right now, I'm just trying to think about like think back to like what was the highlight, and there was just too many things going on. Anyway, what did you guys think about this chapter? What was your favorite part? What do you think is going to happen to Raizo? What do you think is going to happen to Izo? Where do you think Brooke and Robin are right now? I forget Kawamatsu. I forget where did Kawamatsu go? Does anyone remember? Do you think Hiyori is going to end up killing Orochi? We didn't touch on that this chapter. What do you think the vestige that Zoro is seeing is? Do you think it's an actual Shinigami? Do you think it's a manifestation of his sword? Do you think that it's potentially someone else and he is just tripping balls, bro? I think Chopper is gonna have some relevance in this fight again now that he's back to normal. I wonder if he can use Monster Point again. Honestly, I have no worry about Yamato. She's definitely going to take out Kazembo. And yeah, I can't wait for the culmination of the Law and Kid versus Big Mom fight. Also, can we just talk about how like for really prideful people, how hard they're going to like look out for Luffy to make sure that he gets to finish his one-on-one fight with Kaido, and like being willing to put their life on the line to make sure that he can finish that fight is really cool, really tough, and just kind of showing that they have respect for him. Like you're kind of seeing how like Whitebeard and the other Yonko looked up to Goldie Roger. You're kind of seeing it with them. So anyway, thank you guys for watching my review. It really means a lot to me. I do see consistent views every week, and like it's a really good feeling. So for those of you that come and check me out every week, thank you so much. It really means a lot. I've been going through a lot right now, and manga and anime is something that's always kept me going. So I would really appreciate a like, share, and subscribe. That wasn't an emotional guilt trip, but I'm in my feelings right now. Great chapter, and yeah, man. Please like, share, subscribe. Have a great day. This has been Otaku Talk. I'm your host, OD. Peace. Take care.